Why do some children develop well after serious adversity, while others facing similar risks struggle? That question changed developmental psychology. Early researchers sometimes spoke about the invulnerable child, as if certain children carried an inner shield that made them resistant to hardship. But that idea did not survive. The evidence pointed to something much more useful. Risk changes probability, not destiny. One landmark source was the Kauai longitudinal study. It followed the island's 1955 birth cohort, 698 children, across development and into adulthood. Emmy Werner and her colleagues found that children exposed to significant biological and psychosocial risks did not all follow the same developmental path. Some adapted far better than their early circumstances predicted. Their outcomes drew attention to individual strengths, supportive relationships, and features of the wider environment. At roughly the same time, Norman Garmezy was studying competence in children exposed to elevated psychiatric risk. His work helped shift attention from disorder alone to adaptation under stress. Michael Rutter pushed the field further. Rather than asking only which risk factors predicted problems, he examined protective factors and protective mechanisms that could alter the effects of adversity. This was a crucial conceptual shift. A risk factor is not a sentence. It raises the likelihood of a negative outcome, but it does not determine that outcome by itself. Protective factors are not magical shields either. Their effects depend on timing, context, relationships, development, and the particular challenge a person is facing. Ann Maston describes this early period as the first wave of developmental resilience science, largely descriptive research asking a simple question: what makes a difference? Researchers looked for characteristics and conditions associated with better adaptation after significant adversity: problem-solving ability, self-regulation, effective caregiving, positive school experiences, supportive adults, and other resources. That work was essential, but it also created a limitation. Resilience could begin to look like a checklist of traits that some people had and others lacked. Later research challenged that interpretation. Resilience is better understood as a dynamic pattern of adaptation that unfolds over time and within interacting systems. Modern resilience research therefore requires two things: meaningful adversity or threat, and evidence of relatively positive adaptation in that context. It also recognizes that a person may function well in one domain and struggle in another, and that resilience can change as circumstances, relationships, and resources change. For educators, parents, and helping professionals, this changes the practical question. Instead of asking, "Is this child resilient?" ask three different questions. What risks are affecting development? What resources and protective processes are available? And what can we change in the child's environment, relationships, school, family, or community? A child does not need to become tougher so that adults can leave the environment unchanged. Building resilience also means reducing avoidable risk and strengthening the systems around the child. That is the enduring lesson from the beginnings of resilience research. Adversity matters, but risk is not destiny. In the next video, we'll follow how resilient science moved through 4 major waves, from identifying protective factors to dynamic, multi-system models of adaptation.